Right, let's have a quick look around where we're going over the next few videos. This is the Gallipoli mud map. So this is the Gallipoli Peninsula running down to the south. Right down the bottom of the Gallipoli Peninsula is where the main British landings took place during the 25th of April 1915. Next to there is the Dardanelles, or the Strait of Dardanelles, which gave access to the Sea of Marmara. Sea of Marmara gave access to Istanbul, or as it was known then, Constantinople, the capital of the Ottoman Turkish Empire, allied to Germany in the First World War. So let's have a look at more detail of where we're going. ANZAC was where the Australians and New Zealanders landed and came ashore and established a beachhead that ran about 1 kilometre inland. And to the north of ANZAC, in the August Offensive, is Hill 971, and this is where Monash's brigade was sent to take Hill 971. Just towards the west from Hill 971 is Asma Dere, a large, obvious valley that runs down towards the coast. Hill 100, Hill 60, and the Turkish machine gun positions on Al-Atep on the northern side of Asma Dere. That's what you need to know. It's 27th, most of my gear's packed. Heading out the back of Hill 60 today for a couple of days. That's my room. I've got the whole unit to myself. Cold. Well, here we are. Hill 60, no problem at all. And it's raining. So I've holed up, waiting to see what the rain's going to do. Very muddy. Hill 60 Cemetery. So I've come to lay some poppies. Just waiting for the rain to go a bit, then I'll head off. Hill 60. Read some of the gravestones. There's Pommies, New Zealanders, Australians here, so to all. There's the road beside the cemetery there. So I've just come in the trees, and there's even remains of old trenches and fortifications and markers for Hill 60 here. I'm about to go, the rain's just sort of eased a bit, it's just light now. But there's also trenches up here. There's a trench in there. Yeah. So it's tracked through the scrub, which has opened up a bit now, in 50 metres from the end of it, has also been marked. It runs on a gentle spur line uphill, effectively back behind me, towards Asma Dere. So, from where the track north of the cemetery goes into the bush, the scrub line, I've gone about 500 metres, and I'm at the end of the track, what you can see on the satellite imagery. Where I just can't, that's looking down the trench line. I can't get through the scrub anymore. The animal pads, turned into animal pads, very low, dog size, pig size. So I'm gonna try and go back and get round into Asma Dere. That's the plan. Slippery as all shit, even just getting in that little embankment you can see there on those animal pads. Slipped on my ass, it's just treacherous. The mud, that's Asma Dere. Down the bottom of that descent, so that's the bottom of Asma Dere. Probably about 300 or 400 metres up Asma Dere. It's as muddy and slippery as all shit, as you would expect. Following trails, trying to keep to the creek. So about 300 metres up Asma Dere from where I intercepted it. I'm just carrying a Turkish flag. I had it hung off the back of my pack just in case I ran into anyone. And I had this hat. So I look the part as a tourist. Late lunch, it's 2:30, under a pine tree. Just up there to my right, I'm pointing up Asma Dere there. There's that high feature with the sheer dirt sides where we found the bullet casings. And up here about 50-60 metres on my left, there's Asma Dere heading up that way, is the ridge line I want to have a look at for possible machine gun posts. So I've come up from the creek through that tunnel down there. It's a little bit more open. I can probably get up onto the feature from here. It's opening up a little bit. Well, after 20 minutes I've made it up onto the ridge line that I want to search. I suspect Turks may have their machine guns further up the sand ridge line. I'll have a look. So that's the view down Asma Dere, and that feature centre screen over there to the right of that big pine tree is the one where that track peters out onto the top of. So the question is, would you put machine guns here to stop people coming up Asma Dere, coming up from down there? Just haven't found any evidence of anything yet, but really I've only just got here and I've got to work out a way back yet. So anyway, stinging nettles on them and they hurt. I'm going to get through there, trying to get up on the ridge line itself. I'm not far from it, but these sort of things bar my way. See if I can get through there. Zigzags along. Just here, there's the remains of a very old tree that's been cut. So it sort of tends to point to the fact that there was something here. Anyway, there we go. So far, I've followed it for about 40 metres. It's actually come down the front face or the ridge line. There's the top of the ridge line just there. So there, the trench zigzags about every 4 metres. But on my left downhill, it's about, I'm sitting in about 2 feet of deep trench. And if I'm looking downhill there now, believe it or not. And uphill, when I stand up, you know, the top of the trench there is about, it's over knee deep, it's almost thigh deep on me, which is what you'd expect. And it runs back that way. It's just getting thicker. I haven't found any artefacts, so I might head back, I think. There's another ridge line, another 100 metres further south. I might like to try as well. So there's So this is us here now. This is Asma Dere. That actually heads south east. And this is the ridge line I just played along. There are the trees I was talking about in one of the videos. We've got about 2/3 of the way to the trees. There's the ridge line just there. The trenches were on the front face or the northwest face of the ridge line, just off the ridge cap itself. So the trenches probably started about here, I would say, and then I followed them through to about here. So they're all along this area here. And this is where the Australians, there's that track petered out, where the Australians, we think, may have been stopped in this area. So the question is, was it machine guns from down, from here, or from up here, or somewhere else indeed. Anyway, Asma Dere heading down, and that's the next ridge line. It's probably about 150 metres from the one we just did, further up the valley. So I'll find a spot for my bag and go and have a look. I followed a trail, a fresh pig wallow with water. Well, I've had a little bit of a battle. I've only really got along the front face of that ridgeline. There's a wild pig skull. So I've found wild dogs and wild pig skulls. Although it gets higher there, but this is it here. So I'm fairly happy. There's nothing here. I think we'll have a look anyway. I think that's the back of my feature I was trying to get to, but it sort of drops away quite sharply and comes across that little ridge line. I crossed back there, so there's nothing really consistent about it. And there's bloody bits and pieces popping up everywhere. There's another feature just there, but they're just isolated features. I don't think there's much on them. Of note though, back up down where the road is, the fire trail road that comes through, there's that feature there, which I think shows up on the satellite imagery as well. Looking up Asma Dere. Okay, so that ridgeline you can see there, center screen running left to right, down towards Asma Dere, which sort of heads up through there, is my ridgeline. And it is 400 metres from this feature here, which is the back end of that feature we think the Australians came down. You will note that it's actually got some very steep and even sheer terrain. Machine guns up on that ridgeline there, a possibility. But you'll see there's a couple of other ridge lines, that one and that one, where they could have had defensive positions, but that ridge line that sort of crosses right in front of Asma Dere isn't that a bad spot. And you can see the fire control place on the Hill 971 up there actually. Centre screen now. Anyway, that ridge line looks pretty good, especially with all the trenches there. Asma Dere with lots of piggy tracks in it. Possible human remains. Right up the head of that re-entrant, which finishes here and narrows to nothing. Same little re-entrant with the olive trees, but about halfway up it. Pottery, one of those rum jars, I'd say, almost certainly. So I've been crawling up this Turkish defensive remains of the trench, and lo and behold, there's a comms trench that's just joined it. So the trench itself keeps going across the spur line that way, and then the comms trench, which is very visible, is here. So I've just come up and away from the trench behind it, and there's this like a sap or a bunker, a hole in the ground, but it's joined to the trench. Then you can see actually that it is definitely a trench, because there's very severe, bloody hell, this stuff's shit. A cold night, freezing feet. Other than that, fine. There's this hill where it's thought the Australians came down. Actually, it's very steep. That's Asma Dere down there, crossing to my right. It's quite high and it's quite steep. It's certainly not a gentle slope, as you can see. So I've squirreled down the side, the northeastern side of this feature a bit, just following, I don't know, animal pads and stuff. But I've managed to find a good view of Asma Dere. that's my ridgeline centre screen there now with the Turkish trenches on it. There you can see how it slopes up towards the main feature with the roads on up there. And down into Asma Dere, and I just got hunted by that fellow who found me. So I got my Turkish flag out, my ANZAC Day scarf, and we shared some food. He's out looking for some food of some kind. Must have seen me out on the side of the hill through this shit. We're hunting for some sort of food. Hello, coming. It grows on the ground like mushrooms and stuff, not mushrooms though. So I came towards the end of the feature where the track peters out to almost nothing. I've just come down. There was a Turkish trench on the on the southern side. There's a wall there and a wall there, and it overlooks very steep ground, and the trench seems to run all the way along the edge. This whole end of the feature is just covered. That's the eastern end is just covered in a myriad of trenches crisscrossing everywhere. Probably only 100 metres from the cemetery. Don't know what it is yet. There's a little corner over here that I've just been following around the ploughed paddocks, and I've found what was almost certainly the remains of a skull. Just in the corner of this little northwest olive grove. So the Hill 60 Memorial is only about 100 metres to my left. It looks like another piece of skull. I don't know, it's got serrations or something on it. Human remains. Someone's marked it with a stick of some kind. And more over here. That was all, but unfortunately not. A human skull, a large part of See ya, Hill 60 and Asma Dere. It's time to go. There are worse ways to spend a day. Fortunately, I had the opportunity to do so. It's cold.